In the last two lessons, we managed unknowns with an information gap table and expressed judgment strength through probability and analytic confidence. Now we need to turn those parts into a professional intelligence judgment. The key principle is simple. Intelligence judgment is not a factual verdict. It is the best current explanation within a defined time and evidence scope. It may be strongly supported, but it must remain open to better evidence. The final output is a judgment card. A reader should see what is factual, what the analyst inferred, what the judgment can support, and which claims the evidence still cannot carry.
Public information is naturally limited. It may be incomplete, delayed, or shaped by what an organization chooses to publish. Many analysis questions are not static facts. They concern motive, causality, and future development. Why did an executive leave? Will reduced hiring affect delivery? One public document rarely answers those questions directly. Professional analysis does not promise never to change. It states the current basis, alternatives, uncertainty, and update conditions. A revised judgment is not a contradiction when new evidence explains the change. That is how an intelligence product is supposed to work.
Four kinds of statements often become mixed in one paragraph: facts, inferences, judgments, and recommendations. The company announced an executive departure is a fact. The departure may relate to restructuring is an inference. Delivery pressure is likely to rise over the next 6 months is a judgment. Delay the contract is an action recommendation owned by the decision layer. Use clear labels and language such as confirmed fact, we assess, and possible action. Even a reader scanning only the summary should not mistake an analyst's inference for a verified fact.
A usable fact needs at least 4 elements: entity, time, source, and status. A brand may not be the contracting legal entity. Publication time may not be event time. A lawsuit allegation, filing, judgment, penalty, and enforcement action are not interchangeable states. Preserve the original URL, archive, and access time. The same rule applies to images. A visible sign is part of the image. A location conclusion comes from comparing landmarks, maps, street views, and time. Do not rewrite the analysis result as though the image itself already contained it.
Executive departure is a fact. Operating deterioration is only one explanation. Other explanations include normal tenure, retirement, personal reasons, restructuring, strategic change, merger preparation, or a role with limited operating impact. Alternative explanations do not all deserve equal weight, but they deserve explicit consideration. Ask which evidence would distinguish them. Consecutive departures across a core team, customer loss, and cash pressure would strengthen the deterioration hypothesis. A named successor and orderly transition would strengthen other explanations. This prevents the search from becoming a confirmation exercise.
The company is risky, has almost no time information. Does it describe the status today, risk over the next 3 months, or a structural trend over 3 years? Current state judgments rely on confirmed facts. Short-term judgments focus on triggers and recent changes. Long-term judgments require historical baseline, structural factors, and scenarios. The same hiring decline can carry more weight in a 3-month alert than in a 3-year industry assessment. State both the as-of date and the forecast horizon. Time mismatch is also common in news verification. A real 2-year-old flood image can still be false evidence for today's flood.
After reading the conclusion, another analyst should be able to follow evidence, ideas back to original material. Each evidence card records entity, time, source, quoted content or data, archive location, and why the item matters. It also states whether the evidence supports, weakens, or only provides background for the judgment. 3 articles quoting one announcement still have one origin. Preserve access time and archive copies because pages may change. A reviewable chain allows challenge and reweighting instead of asking the reader to trust the author. Analysis is not a contest where the side with more links wins. One original, current, directly relevant record can outweigh 3 weak reposts. One counter-evidence item that directly contradicts the core hypothesis cannot be ignored because it is outnumbered. Weight depends on proximity, independence, timeliness, relevance, and whether the evidence is direct or indirect. A final court record may outweigh media summaries for case status. A customer's public action may distinguish customer confidence better than the company's own statement. Write the weighting rationale down.
There is uncertainty is too vague to guide action. Break it into causes. Missing data may require another source or a narrower conclusion. Source dependence requires provenance tracing. Data lag requires monitoring. Entity confusion requires identifiers and relationship checks. Model assumptions require alternative hypothesis testing, especially when correlation is being treated as causation. Rank uncertainty by impact. Put items that could overturn the judgment first, then those that change confidence, and background details last. Different uncertainty sources need different remedies.
Every judgment should say both what it can support and what it cannot prove. The current company risk judgment may support enhanced due diligence, stronger payment protections, or continued monitoring within the defined time. It does not prove fraud, illegality, executive motive, or inevitable breach. A boundary is not decorative disclaimer text. It prevents the product from being used for a claim the evidence does not support. The boundary may become stricter when the report is published publicly or affects individual rights.
Sensitive conclusions require precise status terms. A lawsuit does not mean the defendant acted illegally or lost. An executive departure does not admit an operating problem. Shared features between two accounts do not prove the real operator or malicious intent. Analysts describe public evidence and risk. Courts determine legal findings, and people explain their own motives. Use verbs such as shows, records, indicates, assesses, and cannot exclude. Avoid proven, exposed, or certain unless the evidence truly supports them. Write how the judgment will change before the next evidence arrives. Customer termination, enforcement, or delivery interruption may raise the risk judgment. Confirmation of a recruiting channel shift or resolution of litigation may lower it. A wrong legal entity or disproven key record may overturn the judgment entirely. Triggers need to be observable. Update if the situation gets worse, is unusable. Review if a major customer terminates, enforcement exceeds the threshold, or 2 consecutive deliveries fail, creates an operational monitoring task. Preserve the old version and reason for change. Now write the company materials as facts without inserting crisis language. As of the review date, public job postings declined compared with 3 months earlier. Court records show 2 cases, 1 pending and 1 closed. An official announcement confirms an executive departure without explaining the reason. 2 partnership announcements were published, but actual performance is not independently confirmed. That last distinction matters. Publication of an announcement is a fact. Successful performance of the announced relationship is a separate question. Give each fact a source, time, entity, and evidence ID. The same facts support at least 3 explanations. Hypothesis A says operating pressure is rising and may affect delivery. Hypothesis B says the company is undergoing manageable business and organizational adjustment. Hypothesis C says the public changes are largely unrelated and have limited operating effect. Mark whether each item supports, contradicts, or cannot distinguish the hypotheses. Evidence that fits all 3 has low discriminating power. Hypothesis A currently leads slightly, but missing customer and delivery data prevent us from treating it as fact. A complete judgment can be stated in a few disciplined sentences. As of the review date, we assess that significant delivery pressure is likely to rise over the next 6 months, with moderate analytic confidence. The judgment is based on concurrent hiring decline, litigation, and executive change. Continued partnership announcements provide weakening evidence. Then add the boundary. Independent customer, cash, and delivery data are unavailable. The judgment can support enhanced due diligence and contractual protections, but it does not establish illegality, confirmed customer loss, or inevitable breach. For a 1-minute oral briefing, keep the same order. Judgment and confidence, 2 key reasons and 1 counterpoint. Then the largest gap and update trigger. The error may be only 4 words. The company is deteriorating. That sentence turns inference into fact. It gives no time horizon, no alternative explanation, no confidence, no evidence IDs, no limitation, and no update condition. Even deteriorating is unclear. Revenue, delivery, organization, or reputation. Correct it by separating facts, adding the 6-month horizon, comparing alternatives, stating probability and confidence, linking evidence, and setting a conclusion boundary. Keep the detailed evidence in tables so the judgment itself remains readable.
The judgment card has 5 sections. Task and time records the core question, as of date, and forecast horizon. Facts records evidence, IDs, sources, status, and time. Analysis records alternatives, weighting, judgment, and confidence. Boundary records uncertainty, unsupported claims, and residual risk. Update records indicators, thresholds, owner, review date, and version. Before delivery, try a reverse explanation. Ask a colleague to state the facts, judgment, unsupported claims, and update triggers. If the retelling changes the meaning, the product boundary is not yet clear enough.
This is also the Stage 2 project. Start with a real question and write 1 core requirement plus 3 PIRs. Map the key EE is 2 sources, time boxes, and stop conditions. After a small collection pass, build 3 information gaps and prioritize them by impact and fillability. Then write 1 professional judgment with time horizon, event probability, analytic confidence, 2 supporting items, 1 counter evidence item, the largest gap, conclusion boundary, and update conditions. Submit 4 connected artifacts, requirement and PIR EEI table, collection plan, information gap table, and professional judgment card. In the next stage, we move into investigation safety, identity separation, and environment setup. Good methods matter, and so does protecting the investigator, the evidence, and the people involved.